It's obvious that firefighting is a dangerous activity that can sometimes cost lives. Former firefighter Peter McIntyre believes that threat has been greatly increased within the Maitland region because of a lack of training for volunteer firefighters.
This could lead to firefighters being hurt. Caught in the wrong position, not knowing what they should be doing, it could lead them, yes, they might lose their lives.
Thornton Brigade member Tim Miller told a council meeting last night he was concerned that he and other members had not received accredited firefighting training. He also alleged that no such courses had been run by council's fire control officer for the past 14 years.
Oh, of course it's disturbing, and you try to address these problems as they come up. But I'm not going to give a knee-jerk reaction to allegations of that nature until I've got a full report back.
Mr McIntyre says he was unfairly dismissed from the brigade last year for voicing his concerns. Among them a complaint about 2 firefighters who were blown off a pile of logs after a can of fuel exploded. He alleges the incident occurred due to negligence and that it was covered up.
It hasn't been reported properly, it hasn't gone through the correct channels, and the proper disciplinary action that needs to be taken in regards to that matter have not been done.
A council report on the matter is due in 2 weeks. Simone Cobb, NBN News. Scores of people gathered at the Mindereba local Aboriginal Lands Council today to celebrate its first cultural display. Rich in Aboriginal history and Dreamtime, more than 200 pieces from around Australia are being showcased in the 2-month exhibition. Organiser Rick Griffiths says the display has triggered an amazing response in Koori people, particularly children, proud of their heritage.
They look at some of the things that they use and it's totally different to what modern Aboriginal people are using today, and they're overwhelmed by the ability of the traditional people.
The exhibition features tools dating back thousands of years and intricate artwork. Some of the most significant are local pieces.
The craftsmanship is exquisite. Some of the work is absolutely unbelievable, and we've got pieces there that are in excess of 3,000 year old and virtually irreplaceable.
The Lands Council plans to set up a permanent display of local artefacts exhibiting many of the thousands of pieces unearthed during construction of the F3 freeway. Simone Cobb, NBN News.
It's been an anxious few months for workers at the Munmore and Waihi coal mines, each day possibly their last. But Delta Electricity has now provided a reprieve, awarding the owner of the mines, Power Coal, a $2.15 million tonne contract for its Vales Point and Munmora power stations. The deal will secure the futures of most of the miners for at least 12 months, but the uncertainty could continue unless more contracts are found.
No one has an ironclad guarantee in employment nowadays. It's completely dependent upon the market. Obviously we need more than the 2 million tonnes, and we will be working hard to secure that.
Both the mine management and unions have hailed the contract as a victory for common sense. Some miners will still lose their jobs, either through transfers or voluntary redundancies, but not the 400 workers as originally feared.
The number is not absolutely definite at this stage, but it's less than 50 employees will be involved in both of those mechanisms.
Richard O'Leary, NBN News.
Newcastle Council now has just 12 days to rezone the Merewether Wharf site, or else the Holiday Inn Group will pull out. Both it and the rival Intercontinental plan for across the road are now locked in mediation over the contentious question of views. Newcastle business advocate Tony Doherty has entered the fray, suggesting the Holiday Inn be shifted further to the west on the site and allowed to climb to 10 stories.
If it comes out and the 2 hotels groups can't agree with this, okay, I accept that. But it hasn't been put on the table.
Holiday Inn developer John Blackburn dismisses the option, saying it would send his group back to the drawing boards and would likely prove too costly. And while it would solve the view problem for the Intercontinental, its backers gave the proposal only cautious support.
I think Tony's suggestion is admirable, and I think that is one of the options that could be considered during the mediation process.
Meanwhile, the Intercontinental Group has given its hotel a new name, the Argyle Forum.
Their attitude is undiminished. They have reconfirmed their enthusiasm for the project and will be proceeding provided we get the views that are required from a hotel room.
The next mediation session is set down for next Wednesday. Phil Hind, NBN News.
Our office building, which houses storage and also shops, the first level and the second level has been totally flooded out.
Like virtually every isolated and exposed building in the country, the Lake Macquarie Police Citizens Youth Club is a target for bored youths with spray cans and nothing else to do.
Filthy language, as you can see right around through the building. On each doors, we have to paint the doors regularly.
In the past few months, it's cost the club $9,000 painting and repainting. For some, though, the spray can is a real artistic outlet. Street Legal Productions has no time for scribbles and bad language.
That's defacing property, you know, like this is, you know, art.
It's not as though Brett and friend Daniel Foster didn't have their own run-ins with the law in the early days. Now, though, the two young unemployed hope to not only create some street-smart art, but jobs for themselves.
I wouldn't mind it leading to a bit of a career, signwriter or just for people's shops and whoever wants us to do it for them.
In the long run, I'd like to make a living out of it, but that's a bit of a dream at the moment.
It may be a dream for the two young artists, but the youth club never dreamed it would welcome kids with spray cans getting busy on its walls. Phil Hind, NBN News.
The Breakers' attacking lineup was forced to train outside the main arena today, ball work and striking the focus of the session. But it may be a game for defence. Sydney United is the odds-on favourite to win the NSL, but Clayton Zane is one breaker who wants to cause an upset.
We're fortunate to be one of the only teams that have knocked them off this year, and hopefully we can do it again down on their home turf.
That December 20 match was a dream for Newcastle. Down 1-0, the locals replied with 3 unanswered goals late in the second half to run away with their biggest win of the year.
I was fortunate to get one against them last time, and hopefully I can get 1 or 2 against them this time.
Newcastle is coming off another giant-killing win. Last week they surprised Marconi Fairfield in a goal spree at home. But no one has beaten Sydney United twice this season.
and inspectors the impression that the mine was safer than it actually was. And at least one mine, some with broken limbs, these are injured miners with broken limbs, were chauffeured to work to sign on the time book, then only to be told to lie down in the change room for their shift or to be ferried back home again. Others were coerced not to report injuries.
The Falcons' pre-season form has been far from faultless, but there are signs of better things to come. The team talked tactics at the final training session this afternoon. Tomorrow they travel to the Snake Pit for their NBL opener against Illawarra. The new mix of players is starting to mould together, and with a home game next week, the Falcons want to return from this match with a first-up win.
I think that's our whole game plan. If we can get a win under our belt, we're a little more relaxed, and for Sean, he's probably got a little bit more sleep over the last couple of days. Then for us to go into that situation, having already won a game, I think will be, be crucial.
There are big expectations on Newcastle, both as a team and individually. Scott McGregor was the NBL's Rookie of the Year in '96. He intends to make '97 an even bigger season.
I'm just going to try and take it easy and not put pressure on myself to have a good year or anything like that. Just go out and have fun as well.
Despite the quote of 25-1 to win the premiership, Newcastle has claimed its young, tall team is a definite threat. Butch Hayes has this for punters.
Put your money on it, you know? You'll make a lot of money if you take us at those odds.
And another great win for Encounter. It paid $1.80 and $1.04. Soldy returned $1.70 and Irish Air $4.80. The Quinella $10.10 and the Trifecta $153.60. Race 6 was over 1,200 metres. Mahogany the favourite. Another commanding win, Mahogany paid $2.30 and $1.30. The Max Lees trained Ruffles returning $2.20, the same place dividend for Clang. The Quinella $11.30 and the Trifecta $89.40. The Bulldogs won 3 from 4 in the pre-season competition and the rock-solid form continued this afternoon at home. Helped by early Toronto errors, Curry was given good field position and Daryl Johnson wasted no time in making the Scorpions pay. A professional foul landed Craig Mealia 10 minutes in the bin and brought the visitors back within 2. Before a 12-man Curry team again caught Toronto sleeping, Dean Howard finishing off to extend the locals' lead. At a point a minute, the scorers were facing a busy afternoon. Bad handling adding to the Scorpions' woes. Then they finally got it right. Ben still too strong for the home side's sloppy defence. With that, the Bulldogs fired up. Another try from the ensuing play sealing the result for Curry. Both sides entered the match undefeated after wins in the opening round of the competition. 1-1 with 10 minutes left in the first half. Uni looked set to race to the lead. A weight of possession in opposition territory had the students in control, but they couldn't convert. Against the run of play, Oxford's found space and Alyssa Zeech found the net. Uni hit back. Nicole Ambrose netted her second to make it 2-2, but a strong second half for Oxford's was enough for a 3-2 victory.
On his first visit to the Hunter as opposition leader, Kim Beazley spent 3 days shoring up support for the ALP as part of its rebuilding process. Having lost the seat of Patterson at the last election, the ALP is determined to win back its disenchanted voters.
Patterson is very much on our hearts and our agenda, but we're the underdogs. We are fighting from behind, and we will be right up till election day, I suspect.
Taking it to the grassroots level, Mr Beazley attended an ALP regional assembly at Beresfield. On top of its list of priorities, job security in Newcastle. Mr Beazley says Newcastle would suffer huge ramifications if it lost its steel industry.
We will put all the pressure we can on the federal government to exercise their influence with BHP to take the decisions they'd taken previously that would have sustained the steel industry here in Newcastle.
That's the challenge facing John Howard, according to Mr Beazley, who claims the federal government has taken a backwards step with Australian industry.
As far as this government's concerned, it's a deindustrialised Australia that they want.
Simone Cobb, NBN News.
Gary Thorley moves through to third. Brad Cameron comes up. He goes into fourth place and then dives up on the ends. Oh, Gary Thorley and Brad Cameron have bumped going into turn 3-4. They've both rolled over. They've both landed back onto the track on all fours up the right way. But it was...
The Scone area is renowned for producing some of the best racehorses in the country. Vowing to protect this valuable industry among others, the local council has attacked plans for an open-cut mine at Aberdeen south of Scone called the Cayuga Coal Project.
We believe that the Upper Hunter is a unique area. It's irreplaceable, and we're not prepared to stand by and see it raped and then, when they're finished, leave nothing.
Concerned about the environmental impact the mine could have on the region, such as coal dust, blasting and noise, council says it wants it to go underground. If allowed to proceed, the mayor says it could open the door to further open-cut mining in the valley. While the proposed mine site is in Muswellbrook Shire, it's Scone Shire residents who will be most affected. Despite their objections to the proposal, they say the consultation process has been a farce.
The environmental impact statement was to have gone on display last October, But because of a number of concerns raised in the community, that was put back to March this year. It's now been put back to July. And I think this illustrates that the mining industry took the community's views far too lightly.
Barry Rose says the community has become sceptical, believing that the state government will push ahead with the mine regardless of concerns. A mine spokesperson was unavailable today for comment. Simon Cobb, NBN News.
Nature activist Dr. Suzuki describes himself as a conservative who just wants to slow things down. It's an ironic admission considering he's pioneered global awareness on environmental issues for most of his life. Now the master of international lobbying is turning his attention to regional action.
Think and act locally. And what that means is buy local, support your local merchants, work local, hire local, play local. We've got to support our local communities.
In Newcastle to present the Citizenship and Governance lecture, Dr. Suzuki wants communities to refocus their priorities. He's worried that local ecosystems and communities are being devoured by an endless need for growth.
The people who are for progress, economic progress, are to me the destroyers. They're the radicals that want to rush in and trash an area without any idea what the long-term consequences are.
Dr. Suzuki says it's simply a matter of working with nature.
Human beings are only one species out of maybe 30 million on the planet. And yet we act as if the whole planet is ours, as this great platter of goodies that we can use.
Dr. Suzuki will speak at the University of Newcastle tonight. Vanessa Spark, NBN News.
Each year, 1,300 lost or surrendered pets end up in scientific experiments. It's now been revealed that Wyong Council is one of 3 main suppliers, last year giving away 700 dogs from the pound for university research. Angry dog lovers in the area are accusing the council of misleading the community.
People are dropping dogs off at the pound thinking that it will be either put down humanely or found a nice home, whereas we're now finding out that a lot have been sent to these laboratories, and people have been ringing me saying, my God, I took a dog to the pound, how can I find out what happened to it?
Charmhaven Pound has been supplying dogs to universities for the past 6 years. Wyong Mayor Doug Eaton claims he knew nothing of the agreement until it was raised by a councillor at a recent meeting. Following a public uproar, he's imposed a temporary ban on supplying dogs for experiments. A final decision is to be made at a council meeting on the 30th of April, when an RSPCA representative and a university spokesperson will present their positions. In the meantime, the Minister for Agriculture, Richard Amery, is giving universities until the end of July to justify the continued use of animals from council pounds for experiments. Sarah Griffiths, NBN News.
From a surveyor's perspective, Newcastle is second to none. So much so it's drawn a New Zealand group to the city to discuss techniques with fellow surveyors.
We're leading the way of that mix, that balance of industry and tourism. And so what we have is the surveying background that's required to ensure that our industry survives.
Blending these competing needs is one of many issues to be covered during the week-long conference, which was opened today by Governor Gordon Samuels. The activities began on Saturday with a reenactment honouring the Hunter River work of surveyor Francis Barrelay. A set of maps from the 1800s were presented to Newcastle City Council.
A welcome sight at Night's training this afternoon. Paul Harrigan back with the top side and fully fit after a bout of severe migraines.
Yeah, it's good to be back. I enjoyed my rest because I basically needed it, but I'm ready now. I feel stronger, and I'm just really looking forward to playing.
Adam McDougall has also passed fitness tests on his injured ankle. He too is expected to be named in the team to tackle Manly on Sunday.
It's been pretty hard emotionally for me, seeing the team perform so well and not being able to be part of it, it's pretty hard.
So good to be back.
It's going to be great to be back.
The diagnosis isn't so good for the Johns brothers. Andrew's ankle and Maddie's thigh are still causing troubles. No major injury concerns for the Hunter Mariners after the club's second Super League win. Coach Graham Murray made sure of fitness at training. Almost 8,000 fans watched the Mariners outclass Auckland on Saturday.
We were a bit unlucky, I thought, in our first game against Auckland in Auckland, so it was a sort of bittersweet revenge for this game, but they played particularly well, our boys.
And also on the right side of the scoreboard on the weekend were the Falcons. Newcastle broke records and the hearts of Illawarra fans by thumping the Hawks. Newcastle restricted the home side to just 9 points in the second term. It was Illawarra's lowest scoring quarter in history.
It's just an outstanding job defensively. The guys really stuck to the game plan and it worked well, and our size really wore them down over the course of the game.
The Falcons play again tonight in the Premier League at the Entrance before the first home game of the season against North Melbourne on Friday. Jonathan Upton, NBN News.
The Jasper program serves students throughout Newcastle and Lake Macquarie, helping children who have been unable to cope within the traditional education system.
Mostly they're kids who've been truanting because they couldn't cope within the school, or they've been suspended and then resuspended because of offences at school, and end up saying we won't go to school at all.
Through alternative teaching methods and a more flexible approach, Jasper integrates the students back into the education system or helps them find jobs. But now the program's future is in doubt, with the federal government deciding to cut all funding.
We've been running successfully now for 3.5 years. We've had nothing but success with the students, that because the federal government cut the money in the budget last year, the funding has simply run out.
Unless some alternative sources of funding can be found, either through local businesses or even the police service, the program will be forced to shut down in 8 weeks. Emma Seossian, NBN News.
Back at school after gallstone surgery, 15-year-old Lauren is in hectic catch-up mode from weeks of missed classes. Diagnosed with the rare Schwachman syndrome at the age of 3, life for Lauren is a rollercoaster ride between being well and sick. The disease affects her immune system, pancreas and bone growth.
You have to be very careful about what sort of people you expose them to. They're more or less like bubble kids because they pick up lots of things. Lauren, when she was younger, had a cold one day and pneumonia the next.
Last night, NBN reported the plight of a little girl in Victoria with the same disease. Little is known about the genetic disease, which affects only 7 people in Australia. A medical conference on Schwachman syndrome is being held in the States in August, and Lauren believes her lifestyle could be vastly improved by attending.
I haven't met any other kids ever with it, and I want to find out about it so that when I move out, I'll be able to handle it on my own.
But her mother Leanne says charity laws in New South Wales, unlike Victoria, mean it is illegal to fundraise for the fairs on her own without a registered non-profit group. She's appealing to the public for help.
Lots of clubs and organisations already sponsor other people or other things, so it's been very difficult to get moving on the fundraising. The other thing is Lauren has been really ill in the last 6 months, so that's taken a lot of my time up as well.
Simone Cobb, NBN News.
The stable never stood a chance. The flames ripped through the building in a matter of minutes, fed by stock feed, hay and fuel. Owner Bill Lambert's first thoughts were for his 6 prize English Shire horses, 2 of which were in foal.
Fortunately, my horses were safe. They were out. I got them out, and they weren't locked in, you see, so they just, as soon as the smoke got heavy, out they went into the paddock.
5 fire appliances and 2 tankers fought for 45 minutes to bring the blaze under control. By then, 30 years of work and memories had been reduced to cinders.
I mean, everything I prized was in that shed.
The blaze also took its toll on firefighters. 6 were treated for smoke inhalation, 2 were taken to hospital. Commanders say it was a particularly difficult fire to deal with.
The lack of water is a major problem to this operation. We've had to bring in bulk tankers from other parts of Lake Macquarie, and we've got a pumper currently working from the dam on the property to try and provide water to extinguish it.
The stable is a complete write-off and will now have to be pulled down. Investigations are continuing into the exact cause of the blaze. Phil Hind, NBN News.
All the participants knew was that the Westpac rescue helicopter had crash-landed at the John Hunter, with billowing smoke setting the scene for a major hospital emergency. It's the kind of disaster the hospital wants to make sure it's prepared for.
The purpose of an exercise like this is to raise the profile of our disaster plan within the hospital, try and make people, motivate people to read it, be aware of it, how it works, and also to test its relevance to a disaster, test our communications, test our responses.
While assessors monitored the event, emergency crews swung into action, treating the 5 injured on board and 3 bystanders hurt by flying debris. Only 10 hospital staff had been briefed as to what would unfold. For the teams on site, it was almost the real thing. Rescuers unsure what to expect. Even those with 20 years on the job say the experience was invaluable.
We're always learning new ideas, new techniques. We're always honing the plan to make sure the plan is right for the future, for our requirements for today. And I think we've done that today, and I think it worked very, very well.
A debriefing meeting will be held next week, where hospital and emergency services will discuss ways to improve their approach. Sarah Griffiths, NBN News.
Rick Everingham is entirely self-taught, but it was on a trip to the north of Italy where he learned the most about his muse. There, among the people, the villages and the centuries-old architecture, he found a new lease of artistic life.
There's just something intrinsically fascinating about being in the place where really Western culture started. And as I say, there's just so much depth, and I've only just touched the surface over there.
So taken with the country is Rick, he and his wife now plan to sell up and move to Italy. For the time being, though, 39 of his paintings hang in the Cooks Hill Gallery. It's his first exhibition in Newcastle since 1991. According to gallery owner Mark Widdop, Rick has come a long way in the intervening 6 years.
It's not everybody who can make a transition from one country to another with a totally different light effect and be successful in understanding it and then being able to put it down on canvas.
The exhibition of Rick Everingham's work will run until the 19th of May. Phil Hind, NBN News.